First season, yeah. First meeting, she's missed in like 3 months.
Guess it could have knocked on her door.
Hmm?
Could have knocked on her door.
I'm guessing she's working.
Meeting time.
Oh, you know what though? Shouldn't play that, she might still come. Okay,
Always one.
Vigilant.
Sign off.
yeah.
All right, I have 6 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. You all please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tina has the roll,
Yes.
and we need to approve this evening's agenda. Nick, would you like to make a motion?
A motion to approve this evening's agenda.
Do I have a second?
I will second that.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, agenda is approved. All items on the consent agenda will be passed in one council motion unless there's something we need to remove for further discussion.
I had a couple of questions on F.
I had a question, but I don't know if anyone here is going to be able to answer, but it would be on the LG report item N. F and R. So I will make a motion to pass the consent agenda minus items F, N, and R.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item F.
Yeah, just had a couple of curiosity questions. Do we have the expenditure to Crumbton Electric for 1,600? Was that for a new install or repair or
Can you tell me what department it was under, please?
general fund?
Okay. There were some improvements done in the fire hall. And that was for Crendon. They did the electrical for that.
Essentially new install, some things that work there.
They've been doing a lot of retrofitting in the last 2 to 3 years. I don't know the complete details of it, but I think it was in the newer side of the fire hall. So I can get specifics and be a little more detailed. I haven't been in touch with Brian in the last couple of weeks.
Then the second one is we have another noticeable expense under liquor to the Southern Glaciers for 6,600. I assume that's for the beer cooler door.
No, Southern Glaciers of Minnesota run is an actual liquor distributor.
Oh, I
Um,
thought Glazers meant glass.
oh, no, Southern Glaciers is actually a liquor distributor. Yep, predominantly, wine.
Okay. No questions.
Okay.
There you go.
It's, my Glazers were the different.
No, no, they are a liquor distributor.
All right, that's my,
Thank you.
into my.
Item N on the gambling report,
Okay.
the electronic games. Do we not see anything from that?
I can't answer that. Can you, Melissa?
There's some, we're better off to have, Scott Curtis or Adam Ziegler. There are 2 main gaming managers to explain that a little better. It's all kind of Greek to me and Shonda, but for something, it has to do with the state on some of that. On the percentage of what the e-tabs, because that's what your questioning is, right?
Correct. That, but I see that we get rent from the paper tabs. and
Yes.
I guess I've noticed this, but I've never asked why there's not a and income from that, or are we just using the electronic gaming as a draw?
They could be grouping it together too. Because columns B1 and B2 are for booth operation. We have somebody actually manning tabs other than the staff, and C1 and C2 is for our operation, so it could be in that total.
Okay.
But
Is this something that Scott or Adam could, should I just talk to them personally, or do you want email? How do we,
that's your call. If you would like to, I don't know if they need to break it out for the state and for the rent.
so otherwise, if the rest of, I could find out, and try to explain it to the rest of the council, or fine with me. I was just curious if anyone knew.
Not the specifics of it, Max. I would direct your question more towards Scott or Adam.
Get a hold of them, directly.
They gave you a better explanation than I probably could, if I found out.
All right,
Yep, good question. I would be interested in finding out.
And I can give you their contact information if you need it.
that's it for that, Don? Martin?
So this central pension fund, as I read this, is this coming out of the employees
Yes,
check?
an employee contribution only.
Okay, cause it's kind of how it reads as an employer, that's how it reads.
And it is a little confusing. It's because we're doing the withholding and then we're paying to the pension. Just like we do for any employee or employer contribution like our nationwide. So we'll do, because we are the payroll, we are the employer, we'll do the withholding and we'll pay it into central pension fund. But the withholding is coming from the employee's side, not the employer side.
I thought that's what.
It's a volunteer deduction.
But I just.
Yeah,
brought it.
I had the same question to union rep, the way the language is, but yeah.
Can I get a motion to approve items F, N, and R?
I move we approve items F and R from consent agenda.
That's second.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Uh,
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. One for the Blackduck Forum. Being from the room's population, don't feel it new. Which brings us to. I'm deferring to Christina.
We're gonna do this again. I'm gonna defer to Todd because he's next up.
Wow.
Ba-dum-bum.
Somebody want to talk.
What a show. You, Todd.
Am I up next? I'm up next? Okay. Great. Thank you, Mayor, Council members. Todd Hagan from Ellers and Associates, coming to you from Belle Plaine, Minnesota. Appreciate the remoteness again. So I have for you to look at is a sale day report. You've seen those before from me, to finance, the backhoe and loader. Basically any capital equipment is allowed. So, if you switch it up a little bit, that's fine. We're not set for all that if you don't need to. So it's a smaller bond issue. We're going out 7 years, it's non-rated. And so we went out to the banks, various banks, to look for the best interest rate for this offering. And we received 5 bids up to noon on the 3rd, before the 4th of July. They came in, and I think your winner here, Huntington Public Capital Corp. It used to be the old TCF, right? Something like that. Those guys came in at the 11th hour and beat Deerwood Bank out of Baxter by very little, but they're the winner at 4.83%. Deerwood Bank came in at 4.86, and Citizens, State Bank of Roseau, who's pretty aggressive. I've done a lot of these in the last 2 months. They came in at 4.99. In US Bank Corp out of Denver, 5.287. And Security Bank and Trust, who's usually pretty aggressive too, came in at 5.85. So your winner is, drum roll please, right? Is Huntington Bank and at 4.83. So I did the math too, kind of difference between the low bid and the high bid interest cost wise is a little north of $8,600. I mean, this is a pretty small bond at 180,000. So, you know, a lot of swing in the interest rate doesn't amount to much, but it's still worth sending this out and seeing who wants to come and play. Because I tell you, I've seen most of these banks on here, you know, also be the low bidder too. So you just never know about the appetite out there. And banks are a little bit fickle these days too, with the Fed funds rate being so high and all that. You just, you know, we just don't know where they're getting their money to lend out. So happy with that. It was like 42 basis points, like 0.42%, almost a 0.5% less than our pre-sale report. We did have to bump up the bond from 177,000 to 180, so we bumped it up 3,000 because bond council came in a little higher, and then we had some arbitrage and continuing disclosure from our shop come in a little higher, and then we have to round it to the 1,000, nearest 1,000. So that gives you another $500 for the project too. So it all didn't go to cost of issuance. We had some rounding in there, $500. So we're going to put it in the project fund. If you don't spend it, then you can move it down to pay the bonds if you want. So callable on any date after closing without penalty or anything. So that's kind of like a mortgage, like a car or a house loan or something. So they don't care if you want to prepay some of this stuff anytime, any day. They're not going to penalize you for any of that. So that's good. I'm going to close this. You get all the money by July 25th, which is right around the corner. There goes the summer, right? And then you do have in front of you from your bond attorney from Taft out of Minneapolis, a resolution to consider awarding the sale of bonds to Huntington in the amount of $180,000. And then I've got, the bid tabulations attached that I just kind of went through, and the final sources and uses and debt service schedule. So Christina knows what to levy for every year. And then just a bond buyers graph showing kind of the trend of rates, kind of jittering up and down now. And then, like I said, the bond resolution should be in your packets. I believe it's finalized. There's a version floating around out there that's got all the numbers in it. So that is it from me, and I appreciate the business, but I'll yield to you folks if you have any questions or comments on this.
Oh, well, I guess I had one, was on the insurance of it. Is that pretty standard?
The issuance costs?
Issuance, not insurance.
I'm sorry, it was issuance. Yeah. Yep.
To pay them and to pay our bond counsel, and that's
Yep.
all that are included, but yes, it's pretty standard.
Yep, it's standard, and the bank they don't produce any documents, so it's all coming from the bond attorney, like all the other bonds that you issue, and like we just did too. And so all they need to do is give us an interest rate, and then we get it all prepared for them and processed, and then they, we get a transcript prepared for them, and yeah, they don't have to go through any bank documentation. It's pretty easy for them. They just have to try to hit the mark on the interest rate, and then it's pretty on automatic for them and for you guys too. We try to keep it simple for all the parties. So
Okay.
Yep.
That was my question.
And we try to keep all the costs down for you as best as possible, but it's the same amount of paper, right? And it's the same amount of bodies that are involved in this as same as a $2 million bond, right? So, but we do take that into consideration and try to get that down as far as possible, just to be efficient. You know, we don't want, you know, we still want you to proceed in this manner, right? And it's all tax exempt, federal and state. For you, in the reflection of a lower interest rate, right? And for like the bank, giving you a tax exempt loan basically instead of a taxable. So it helps you all around that way too. But yeah, we try to ratchet it down as much as possible, but there's a point of where you kind of have to stop and just, you know, making sure everybody's taken care of, right? So.
Anything else for Todd? Guess we can move to the proposal.
Yeah, if you want to, have the council vote to, approve the proposal form from Huntington. And then I've got the resolution that Todd stated as, item C to approve. So I did it in two separate movements.
Yep.
Yep.
Anybody have anything they wanted to discuss on it ahead of time? Okay. And we will need a motion to approve this proposal form for Huntington Bank.
Second. Okay, second that.
Okay. Any discussion on it? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Proposal is passed.
Great. Thank you again. We appreciate it and our good relationship with you folks. And thanks for your flexibility as always. And we will always be in contact with Christina. So again, thanks again for your flexibility.
Thank you.
And then if you want to move down to C, Max, and have move on 24, 11.
Yep. Motion to pass this resolution.
Make a motion to pass, resolution 2024-11. Okay.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Resolution is passed. Let's see.
Those my kind of report.
I got nothing.
He's got nothing
Perfect.
in
Mowing grass in the rain, pulling lawnmowers.
yeah, we saw where the,
It's
got
not
the
been good.
little stuck in the park.
All
there.
over the place,
Yeah.
stuck everywhere,
It's all right.
No, we're just trying to get through that basically right now, so not much else. We haven't been able to do many of the projects we want to do because of the rain, so.
You guys working out?
Yep, my summer help, yep, they're getting there, they're getting there. They're mowing, they're doing
For a
fine,
moment.
yep. So that's all I really got, guys. Anything for me?
Is there any change in that, cracked pipe we were talking about last time with the pump at the lift station or something?
There is no change there. We have isolated that one, moved over to the other one right now. So we're putting all our water through one right now, all our wastewater. I have some numbers on what the cost is going to be, but I think they need to be refined a little bit, in my opinion, so I'm not gonna bring those to you just yet. But they are fair size, I will tell you that. It's gonna cost a good bit of money, so we're gonna need to discuss that and the timeline stuff on where we are with the whole project that we've been working on with Seth. In that timeline, and I think that's gonna go into play. With whether we do this or not, because it's not,
The PER.
yeah, this isn't just a $2,500 fix, it's about 10 times that. So,
Yeah, please, you wanna refine those numbers.
I wanna make sure that it's really what it needs to be, and then, you know, whether we dance with it and hope that it can hold until stuff moves on that PER, but Caleb, what are we? I mean, probably a couple years out on that. From really truly,
Construction,
from
that's
truly having anything going.
I'd have let Tim answer, but yeah, probably, well, definitely not next year for construction, maybe.
Right.
26 at the earliest, but I'm sure he would recommend probably doing some sort of a patch.
And that's
No.
essentially what it is.
Yeah.
That price is essentially a patch to keep us in motion. So,
How long would you estimate we have now, the way that things are going?
absolutely no idea.
Okay.
No clue. It's one of those things, you know, the water pounds on the inside of those pipes and those fittings, and, you know, friction from the water wears them down from the inside out, and it's impossible to tell. We could have 3 days running the way we are before we have a real problem, or we could have 3 more years. It's really about impossible to tell.
That's all.
Well, there again, that's the whole point of the PER and everything we've been doing for the last couple of years.
Everything will come together.
So,
Anything else for Mike? Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Liquor store?
Oh, really don't have a whole lot, June numbers were a little low just due to the rain and weather, honestly. People will start out moving around like they usually are when it's muggy and hot. But we're just trying to run some new daily specials and sales and plugging away at it.
Will be taking part in the crazy days?
Yes, I haven't gotten anything of the specifics of what we are going to be doing or promoting for that day, but there will probably be something in the bar and some form of food sale and off sale, but I don't know offhand what the specifics will be, but yes, we are participating in that.
Melissa, can you take a note back to Shonda, just because I keep missing her? And ask her to crunch some margin numbers on the THCs again.
Oh, okay. THC numbers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else? All set for wood carvers?
Yes and no. Yes, we will be fine for woodcovers.
Anything else for the liquor store? For the pond? Thank you. I do not see Misty, because I would imagine that it's not raining, so they're probably doing something at the golf course.
I spoke with her this morning. She was hoping to come, but she just wanted to crunch some numbers. She had her largest day on Friday yet. And she couldn't exactly tell me how many rounds of play happened on Friday, but it was the largest they've had in the last 2 years. So I think she'll have something at the next meeting. I expanded on their income statements for your review and for the staff, going back not just a year for, like, I do 3-year look back for golf. I went back to 20 on the bottom of your income statements now, and I think I went back
That was
so that you guys can see the growth a little bit more.
So what's the first thing you could do after COVID?
So the golf courses, green fees at the end of June in 2021 were 14,298. And after this year's June were 30,525. Just green fees.
Even with on the water.
The cart rental was $1,000 in 2021 is now almost 22,000. And if you look at the liquor store, 20 was a weird year,
Yeah.
right? Off sale was open, on sale wasn't, so I only went back to 21 on the liquor store. But, you know, we're having a tough year. But, you know, I expanded on that so you guys could have a little bit more of a trend to look at, but going back to the whole golf course thing, things are really good despite what the department is struggling with to keep up with all the rain. We're still playing, so.
Don't think we have anything in for the library.
Not yet, no.
Then Christina, I will move directly to your report.
Okay. So I have a few things that I wanted to talk at the work session that couldn't be held, and I also have some things that need to get approved tonight as well. First of which is a resolution reaffirming the support for the city to impose a local sales tax. And I can move forward with putting that on the general election ballot in November. So I've talked about this in previous meetings. This is the draft of that resolution. Language is exactly as it was last year when it was approved before it went to the legislature. So if I could have this passed tonight, that'd be great.
I'll move to pass resolution 2024-09, reaffirming support for global sales tax.
So that's second.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on it? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
My next item is the final draft of the sales tax questions. I've shown this at a couple of meetings. This is the final draft. Again, moved a couple of some language pieces that Don brought up, and then I've had the attorney look at it again. And this is what I've landed with. So yes, I have to restate the question, every single one, and I have to state all the questions. So I would like approval of these so that I can continue moving forward with the marketing plan.
This also. How are they putting all of that on the ballot?
I'm gonna let Jody worry about that.
Oh, okay.
Yep, I've already
Fair enough.
sent it to her a couple of months ago, gave her pre-notice that there's 5 questions, and I mean, the thing about it is, our ballots don't have everything on them, you know, right? We're only in one county district that we have, that this precinct votes for. There's not a gubernatorial election, there probably will be some judges, there's gonna be some school board, and there's gonna be municipal, and there's gonna be presidential, so it will be a full ballot, whether it's standard size or not. But if you think about what
Regular.
a regular ballot is, there's quite a bit of it full on the front, including the municipal, and the backside is usually the judicial. The judicial is maybe 1 column, so there is room to do it. So I'm not worried about it.
It's gonna be fun.
I'm not worried about it. Hopefully it just won't get missed. I don't know how much stuff is gonna be on the ballot this year. I don't know how many candidacies are out there.
If I recall, last time we were pending review by the attorney
And
here
he-
again.
and he
that's
has
how
reviewed them.
So this is all signed
Yeah.
off. and-
We're good to go on this one.
And the next question is, we're all understanding, we believe this is the minimum length of questions that we can have. There's no more
Yeah.
condensing.
That is correct. Because it has to follow the resolution that was approved and provided to the legislation.
Those are my two concerns.
Understood.
Based on those answers, I would say I would make a motion that we approve these 2024 general election local sales tax questions. Let the voters decide.
Do I have a second? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
The next item I would like to discuss, obviously, then would be the marketing campaign proposals that I've received from Pinnacle and Widseth. I wanted to discuss this at the work session. Pinnacle and Widseth have both kind of given us a little bit of language of what they can do for us. I don't have, you know, a ton of what Widseth is gonna charge for it. But I have an idea of, you know, Pinnacle put a fairly basic cafeteria plan, if you will, of what they could do for us for marketing. I'm more for the direct mailers, because I think that's gonna reach the most voters, and it isn't a ton, because it's only our precinct. So, the only thing that we would wanna decide is if we do wanna go outside a little bit, because there's a lot of business owners that live within the school district, but they don't live in the boundary of the municipality, so they could have influence on our voters. And I mean, that's obviously an additional cost if we pick it up a little higher, a little bit further, but we're only obligated to the voters.
And that's if we. That's what Pinnacle, when you're talking.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, no disrespect to Caleb and his team, but you know, they have done many marketing campaigns for, other referendums in the past, but I really have no idea what kind of a cost you guys put together.
I did talk to Tim about that
Fantastic.
this morning, and he said that, you know, for us to do what Pinnacle was proposing here for like 3,500, he said, approve this one, this place.
Go to Pinnacle, you mean? Yeah, and that's kind of
He's
what I
like,
was.
there's no way we can do with all of this for what they're saying.
Yeah. And because Pinnacle's already tied to our website and our social media, and they've already been doing a lot of campaigns for the chamber and everything that's local, that I would be more inclined to stay with them and do the direct mailer campaign.
Yeah, I would agree on that. I mean, I think we definitely need to get the website. They control that.
And they control that.
to do that. My concern with the direct mailers is that there's some type of, and this is a minor expense, but there's some type of proofreading, because a lot of registered voters live together at the same address.
Sure,
Would we be mailing?
duplicates
Yeah.
is what you're
Would we be
thinking.
mailing 2 postcards to Mrs. Voter 1 and Mrs. Voter 2?
And it's gonna happen for all of the campaigns that are coming up right now anyway, so yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And so I think we could call that. I don't personally see the expenditure of the surrounding area with outside of the Blackduck border. But up to the council, I guess. The mailers, I think, is a matter. I don't think we need to go to video production.
I didn't think so
That's
either,
expensive. I don't think we need to have camera crews canvassing the town.
Mhm.
But whatever would be appropriate to get the voters, the registered voters, in the city limits. Engaged.
Yes, notified, informed, this is gonna, this is a potential for you.
Audio streaming, video, I think, I don't know how to target that, folks. Website and direct mail are the two strong points of that.
Thoughts?
Like Ron said, you know, I mean, if you get 2 registered voters in the same house, I mean, it's kind of doesn't make a lot of sense to mail 2 cards in the same house. I mean, personally, especially with postage going up here, next week. What it sounds? 75.
73 cents is
73
what a
cents.
forever stamp is gonna cost.
I'll find which watch. But, yeah, no, it makes sense, it's save much. You know, and you pre-bought all your stamps for the year, but. But it's probably.
We tried, I'm for sure we'll probably need some more, but yes, you're right.
But, you know, this is probably extra.
It will be, because we won't start doing the direct mailer until after the primary.
They would mail it out, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Just like they did that rack card for the golf course,
Yeah.
it's gonna be similar to that.
I think that worked out pretty well,
Mhm.
actually.
I think the only thing that we would question is how many times do we want to do it, right?
I would say at least twice,
Mhm.
because you gotta be in there with all the other ads you're gonna be getting in that mailbox, and if you're not in there, you don't make it to, half of them aren't gonna make it past the front door of the post office. You know, they're gonna land in that recycle bin,
Right, right.
then. But if you do it twice, you do have a little better shot at getting onto the kitchen table.
Right.
When you're on the kitchen table, you kind of tough to ignore.
That's right, I forgot. People have- I don't put name on it.
Mailboxes, not everybody gets it
Yeah,
to their house.
yeah. Forgot about that.
That's a big chunk.
Oh, yeah.
You don't pick up your mail,
Right on the house.
really? The right, must be on the welcome subject.
So you guys are in the consensus to go with Pinnacle and work with them for the direct mailer campaign?
We'll even take Witsat's advice on the, going with Pinnacle.
Thanks. Would you be willing to approve that then, please?
I will make that motion.
That way I can start working with Kyle.
I will need a second.
I'll say.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
All in favor? Aye.
I,
Opposed?
And then
None? Carried.
Fantastic. Let's see, D, resolution 2410 is resolution approving an excluded bingo license for the chamber for Backwoods Bash. And I will need your signature, Mr. Chamber President, on this application also tonight, so
So is that a conflict?
no, you're not gaining any money from it. No, you're not getting anything more from it. It's not a conflict. I know.
I will move to approve, resolution 2024-10 for bingo at the Backwoods Bash.
Right, second.
Second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We'll have bingo at the bash.
Fantastic. For consideration, my work with, our partners at Beltrami Electric for the Red L, and grant program, for City Hall requires a 20% contribution from the end recipient of the funds. And, I'd like to discuss the potential of using the non-restricted revolving loan funds for that 20%. Obviously, the city's feasibility study isn't done yet. We don't have any idea how much that dollar amount is going to be. But regardless, we're gonna have to come up with a portion of the money. And I'm looking for conversation and approval of the best use of that, the best way to get that 20%.
Tough to say how to get to 20% when you don't know what 20% is.
Well, and I'm aware of that.
But as far as using a revolving loan fund, I was never a big fan of the city giving itself loans, but
No, but it is
Yeah.
allowable.
it is.
Right, it is
I
allowable.
understand,
Mhm.
but
And as long as the city is set up resolution approving
Is
it,
that the best?
it is allowable.
Is that the best use of it? Are we doing best use for, I don't know, is it gonna be $250,000?
I don't know.
$1/3
I mean, if you guys want to table it until that feasibility study comes back, that's fine. But
Well, look,
I
mean,
want to
we could
start the
talk about it,
conversation.
but-
Because ultimately we are, this is our best option to move forward with a financial way to take care of City Hall. And whatever dollar amount that is, we still have to come up with some mechanism that's our skin in the game. I mean, the only good thing I can tell you is our project has a very good chance of getting grant dollars. And obviously, our second quarter deadline is gone.
Gone.
We knew that was gonna be the case, so we're not even looking at being considered until either at Q3 or Q4, but on a timeline standpoint, realistically, we're probably not gonna be looking at anything until Q2 of 25. Because it'll stay in the queue at USDA until probably that round. And whatever happens at an election year will also change what kind of financial amount is there for USDA to give out.
What is our balance right now if they're revolving loan fund? It's like.
$320,517. Part of that is, for the building, the D project, with the buildings coming down, we are owed debt payment on that, but that's until, things get sold, built up, and part of it is forgiven, but it's still, the
Okay.
total was 168.
Are we all agreed that this is what we wanna do? We wanna. That City Hall is. This is gonna be the building.
Well, I'm not to step on your toes or anything, Max, but I hope so, because you guys approved the feasibility study that we're doing. Okay,
Yeah, unless there's also these buildings.
If
So
it's,
do we know when we're gonna get that feasibility? study?
well, I know Tim and his team really wanted to get it to us before this meeting, but that just realistically wasn't gonna happen with the holiday week.
Utilities actually quite tomorrow.
So, I mean, no, I can't.
Yeah, this is a brick building. 57, it's not foundation. Probably older than that.
Yeah.
so. What's the alternative? We're gonna put up a sheet metal building so far on a concrete slab. And have meetings.
Well, and regardless of that, we still own this building.
Yeah.
So if we demolish it, we still have to fill it in. We are guaranteed that parapet, because I actually went on the roof with the architect and looked at that thing. So I got firsthand at how bad it is. That thing has to come off. It's just gonna continue to fall in. And the architect could tell just by looking at it without even having to do any more inspection. So, yeah, I mean, your question is valid, but regardless, we still own the building. The cost of taking it down and starting over again might be just as much. But you guys are sitting here spinning wheels on information you don't have.
yeah,
Does this building hold any historic value to this town? Zero, right?
Wait, I mean, historic value or sentimental value?
I mean, historic value, not sentimental value, any historic value. This is not the original building that's at here,
No.
Yes, it is. That front part, my office is the original part. of
that
it.
one little corner part. I just gotta put it out there. This is an unbelievably huge waste of money, in my opinion, to redo this building. You can knock this building down, put a new one up here. You're gonna be so far into this building to try to fix this. It makes zero sense. You're gonna put a Band-Aid on this building is what you're gonna do. It's not gonna have that many years left, even after you Band-Aid it.
I say we wait for the feasibility study.
Put something new up, you
I
can
think
make
the
it look
cost of
old.
pulling out 2 vaults that are cemented into this building is gonna be crazy.
I don't think you understand what the cost of fixing the basement in this place is gonna be. This whole thing is
All right, well,
knock it down, put slab on grade, buy the lot next door.
yeah. Say noted. Yeah, I mean, that's why we. Let's see what it is, Christina.
All right.
Put the numbers out. Like I said, I didn't. know the way we're gonna go, it's the way we're gonna go. And you're. I can agree with both of you, I think, but I know how, this is our building. It's the city's building. It's whatever. We can't just leave it. I don't wanna see another empty spot. I don't wanna see another empty spot across the street or that street. Without buildings, then you have nothing, but. That's what the feasibility studies, that's what it will show.
Sure.
Whether or not this is
I understood.
something that's gonna work. But the suggestion of the revolving loan fund as the 20% for grant dollars. Does it have to be, does the project have to be that? Like a whole? What's the minimum? Is there a maximum we can ask for, a minimum you can?
No, because Beltrami Electric is applying for this so that they can start their own revolving loan fund program. So we are their first loan. That's why it's 0% for 10 years. So that dollar amount that we need will be what we're asking for and what they're asking for. The more we need, the more they make on notes receivable to keep their program going. It's just how ours works. Okay. I can move on then.
I think we just need to see what the other, that feasibility study says first. Before you jump any hoops here. This building's old, but.
So is every other building in town,
Oh.
you know, for the most part.
But granted, but nobody wants to put $500,000 into a whole building. Or $250,000 into a whole building. Council will spend 10 million for the 5 million for the building.
Yeah, what can you get for $250,000? You get a cement slab with a sheet metal building.
I don't even think you probably get much of that.
Well, let's see what happens.
I mean, City Hall was in the big public work building. I remember seeing a sign there, so.
There's plenty of clay around here, plenty of straw.
How green of you. Yeah.
Big in the winter.
Right.
Moving on.
Okay, so, I need to get head nods on the ordinance amendment for our rental licensing. Was gonna bring this up last month, but city attorney read through the, ordinance amendments, made some updates to it, some language changes. Advised on the fine, which was on page 5, for violations. He researched the statute that supports that penalty could go up to $1,000, so I left it at what Cass Lake's 700 was. And then started drafting the legal notice, of which I'd like to get in the paper on the 22nd, so I can, or excuse me, so we can have the first reading on the 22nd.
So that the landlord would have to apply every 2 years?
Nope,
Or is this
every year,
Every year?
still every year. Yep. We're just fine tuning and updating a bunch of language and then adding that site manager and that listing. One of the things I believe I took out from the attorney's recommendation was having the language in there that requested who was living in the units. We had that listed in the ordinance too. He said that's gonna be really difficult, so we omitted that. And that's kind of a really nasty paper trail anyway.
Right, so you don't,
Right. But I left the 50-mile radius in there for the resident manager,
okay,
which was a conversation we had when I first introduced this revision. I don't know if you guys want to discuss that anymore. I can always make that bigger or make
I
that
think-
shorter, smaller.
50 miles would be. Trying to think of some of the property and some of the owners that are here in town now, and I think they're all definitely within 50.
And again, like I know that Lori had a concern of that because we do have some landlords that live in like the Wayzata area in Eden Prairie, but they could very well establish somebody local or a tenant to be their manager.
Right.
So they have options, and I know that's done in a lot of other apartment buildings, so I don't think that that's a hard ask.
No, I think the way it goes right there, yeah.
And can you remind me, the current ordinance does not have any geographic
Does not.
restriction that manager can be anywhere?
Which for the future.
So can I get this? Okay, so I can move forward with the first reading.
Yeah.
The way I have a draft,
Because it'll go into effect January.
right, okay, fantastic. Move forward with the posting. And the readings.
Yep.
Oops. The next thing I have in G is what you guys requested, after the June meeting. You wanted to see where the liquor rent fund donations year to date were budgeted and, pending. One thing that I did add in there that we haven't discussed this at all is in 23, the council agreed to, award the duck restoration project $2,000.
Yep.
It took 1,000 out of 23, still need to take 1,000 out of 24, so I listed that on the sheet for you. The other two pendings, I put the same amount from 23 for the history center, and then what was done for Toys for Kids. So as it sits currently, the year-to-date donations are $54.77 with a budget of $6,000, so you're $522 away from hitting that a total budgeted line. You'll be overspent about $3,300 if we stay on track with what is already pending. Okay. The next thing I have is on July 22nd, prior to your work session, there will be a public hearing to hear a conditional use permit application from, the new owner of 217 Main Street. The planning commission in June reviewed, the application, for Taylor. He purchased, Zaleski's building on Pine and Main Street there, and he's starting that, landscaping and pole business, birch pole business. He just wants to have living quarters in a commercial building. We've done it before. This is the process. So I've already drafted and mailed out the letters at the end of June. And we'll have, public hearing for people to comment on, prior to the work session on July 22nd. And I've invited Taylor to attend. So hopefully he'll be here to speak on his behalf if anybody has any questions. The rest of what I have are just some dates for the council. As I just said, July 22nd is the work session. Since we couldn't have our work session in June, John Roscoe will be here to present the 23 financial audit on the 22nd as well. June 28th to August 12th is early primary voting. So we're right in the middle of that. July 30th to August 13th is the city's general election candidate filing period. I know that you had asked for that, Max.
Yep.
Closes at 5 o'clock on the 13th. And that should be in the paper in the next couple of weeks.
That doesn't mean that you can't run, it just means you won't have a name on that.
Right, so we have, Nick and Don's council seats are open and the mayor's seat is open on this ballot. August 5th is the next city council meeting. August 13th is the state primary election. And then I am looking to get the finance committee started ready on the 25 budget process.
Who's that?
Financial audit presentation on the 22nd. Will that person be here in person?
John? Yes, John will be here.
Okay,
He
we'll
was
be here first.
ready to be here in So for the finance committee, I will reach out and try to start scheduling some meetings. And that's all I have unless anybody has any questions for me. Which are you referring to? The election filing? I think it's in there. I asked for July, hang on, let me get my calendar. Gonna be on the 20th, the 27th, and the 3rd, I think. 3rd or the 10th. I'm gonna run it 3 times. I really am only obligated to run it once, but I'm gonna run it 3 times.
Because she wants to get rid of some.
Because I want people to file. The school board's already started their filing notices too. I think they have a couple seats as well.
To the mayor and council member reports. The reading of the Bible at Peak Wayside Rest was again a point of too loud, too long, too much, whatever. I'm just bringing it to everyone else's attention that I did receive complaints. Whether or not there's anything we can do about it, which I honestly, I'm not going one way or the other on this. I just wanted everybody to be aware that it was something that they would like it brought people that.
This will be the 3rd year in a row that I've
Good.
had to tell the owner or tell the organizers that what you just said. And what I get back is freedom of speech. We're renting it. we're within the quiet time.
They don't need speakers, it's big.
And that.
They're not the
is-
only ones that put speakers up when they have an event.
And
There is freedom of speech, there is not freedom of decibels. You cannot do anything during business hours that you want. I would say that those points you've heard are legitimate. Okay,
Oh, it's not.
in the area myself, and fortunately, I believe I was out of town, this happened, I'm assuming, recently,
yes, sir.
yes, I was away.
What is the rental time frame on that area?
Well, let's see, the Backwoods Bash goes till 10 o'clock, so. Actually, and I think the bands have been there till 11. So,
I'm
is
just
there a
curious,
time?
I'm just
No,
curious.
no, we don't have time limits on rental.
And that's-
Somebody rents in one of the pavilions at the campground, they get it all day,
I was just curious in case somebody does ask.
yeah. We never put any restrictions on time, but we do have a noise ordinance in town and that has been discussed with these organizers. And it has to end at 10. That's what the noise ordinance starts.
Hmm.
So if there's something else I can lay on or
There-
rely back on, then
there
I have
is-
more skin in the game.
See, our noise ordinances, and that is where we're at.
Yeah.
And that's what I've tried myself to reiterate to people, this isn't the Rolling Stones out there until 2 or 3 in the morning, and it's once summer. You know, I hear the baseball game from my house. I hear the football games from my house. You know, so.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell them, except. Take it up with the organizers themselves.
Encourage it. I mean, when the organizers started putting the speakers out, they had them pointing in all directions. And it was requested by the business owners or the owners of the Drake Motel to not have them pointed towards that area for their, people that are renting units from them. And I explained that to the organizers and they told me that they would relocate them and ship them. But they also told me that they had people that said they were staying at that location and enjoyed it. So I get mixed comments.
And this is one of those moments where you're not going to make everyone. And that's just the way it is. But I wanted it. Because they. Anything else? Gentlemen? Yep.
It's like that.
That's not what you're looking for. All in favor? We stand adjourned. Thank you.
How's your, picture coming? I mean,
Good, we gotta submit them.